Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Wrestling News Live 5, bringing you wrestling news from all over the world, and welcome to show number... Alright, I better turn that down before I get flagged. Alright, I don't want this video getting flagged, but this is show number 10. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in, and we are bringing you wrestling news from all over the world, as I mentioned. This is not going to be a long show. This is not going to be like one of our review shows where we go over an hour. This is going to be relatively brief. So strap yourselves in. Get ready. Hang on while I take a sip of Diet Mist Twist here. I want to say Sierra Mist because it used to be called Sierra Mist. Then they switched over to Mist Twist and they changed the recipe. And I think it's much better now because they added a lot more lemon, and I definitely like the recipe a lot better now. All right, now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. Why don't we start by talking about the thing that most of the wrestling world is talking about now, which is Rich Swann. Rich Swann, as of yesterday, has come to terms with WWE regarding his release. As we know, last year, Rich Swann was charged for battery and kidnapping on a woman, and the charges were dropped as there was not sufficient evidence to convict Rich Swann. Well, WWE has now released Rich Swann, and a lot of people are saying, well, who cares? Who cares about Rich Swann? But I don't know. I was a fan of Rich Swann. I guess I can say I wasn't a fan of the person, Rich Swann, but I was a fan of the. I liked his music. His music was pretty cool. For those of you who remember. Just to give you a sample right here. Those of you who may not remember what Rich Swann's theme sounded like, I'm going to pull it up right here. Again, try not to get flagged. It was cool. Handle this, can you handle this, can you handle this? Ooh, can you handle this, can you handle this, can you handle this? Maybe if I sing over it, I won't get flagged. All right. I was a fan of Rich Swann's work. Wasn't a fan of what he allegedly did. But I think that this is more or less to make a statement. A lot of people were saying that after the Enzo Amore thing, after he was released, and they were saying, oh, there's not a lot of evidence. This is just accusations. This is purely accusations on Enzo Amore. And Rich Swann was actually charged. So why was Rich Swann only given a suspension? Well, he was given a suspension, and he did work out his suspension. He did not appear on WWE TV during that period of time that he was suspended, as you would expect of someone who was suspended. But people are saying, why wasn't Rich Swann released? He was charged. Well, he has now been released despite those charges being dropped. And personally, I think this was to make a statement. I don't think it was anything against Rich Swann himself. I don't think it was anything having to do with WWE's plans for him, although I don't think that they might have the same plans for Rich Swann as they might Cedric Alexander or Apollo Crews, especially Apollo Crews now getting a lot of TV time, being part of Titus Worldwide. Well, I think it was purely to make a statement. But a lot of people are saying, who cares? It's only Rich Swann. Well, he'll probably go to Impact Wrestling or go to ROH, and he'll be fine. Rich Swann will be fine as long as he doesn't do anything stupid. And again, there was no evidence. I'm not saying that he did or didn't do what he was charged of, but he was charged, but he was never convicted because of insufficient evidence. But WWE has now released him. Maybe they just didn't want someone who had that type of charge in WWE. But then again, why didn't they? Here's a question. And you know what? We'll open this up to you folks. Why was Rich Swann not charged? And by the way, we are taking questions live. Why was Rich Swann not charged at the time? Why was he not released at the time of the charge before the whole Enzo Amore thing happened? The group chat is now open, so go ahead and ask your questions. Well, again, as I said before, I think it was just to make a statement. But we'll see what happens to Rich Swann. We'll see if he goes to Ring of Honor, or if he goes to New Japan, or if he goes to Impact Wrestling. And or maybe he'll just work maybe he'll work Evolve. Maybe he'll work PWG. I don't know. But darn it, we won't get to hear that great theme song anymore. That was probably, he wasn't a terrific worker. He was decent, but the best part was definitely that theme. That theme was definitely the best part of Rich Swann, his character. All right, so moving on. Let's go to Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler just recently signed a new contract with WWE after being gone, after almost, well, he was gone for a while. Then he returned at the Royal Rumble, number 30. And I already kind of gave my thoughts on that. For those of you who missed it, basically my thoughts on that were, oh, okay, it's Ziggler. Yeah, I forgot about him. I literally said, when he came out at number 30, my exact reaction was, oh, yeah, I forgot about him. Now, obviously, Dolph Ziggler has been kind of stale for a while. No one has really cared about Dolph Ziggler in a while because WWE really hasn't given us a reason to care about Dolph Ziggler in a while because they haven't been doing anything with his character. So, Dolph Ziggler was almost gone. He was almost out of the company. And then we find out that he signed a new contract. It's a 2-year contract. It's a 2-year deal. And the details of this contract have been released. And the details of this contract are, it's $1.5 million a year, where he won't be around full time. He'll only be basically they're giving Ziggler time to do things on the side, to do the things that he wants to do on the side. Apparently he has like a stand-up show or something like that he does on the side. So they're giving him time to do that. And he's basically going to just be a jobber to the stars. He's going to do jobs for almost everybody, I imagine. Now he's in the sorry, not the Elimination Chamber. Now he's in the match at Fastlane. Because damn it, everyone on the SmackDown roster has to be in that match on Fastlane. Why don't they just make it a Fastlane Battle Royal where everybody is on the roster? Because first, Daniel Bryan comes out and he says it's going to be a triple threat. It's going to be AJ versus Owens versus Zayn. Then Shane says it's going to be the winner of the Dolph Ziggler Baron Corbin match is also going to get into that match. Is also going to get into that match at Fastlane. Then we find out that because, and this happened on SmackDown this last week. So if you haven't watched SmackDown, this most recent SmackDown, this is going to be a bit of a spoiler. But so here's what happened on SmackDown. Basically, Corbin got taken out by Owens and Sammy. Sammy had a match against Ziggler. Corbin had a match against Owens, and they both made it into the match. So now we have AJ, Owens, Sammy, Corbin, and Ziggler in that match. Why don't they just add one more and make an Elimination Chamber? Why don't they just make Elimination Chamber a dual pay-per-view, which, by the way, we're going to get to that later. And by the way, we are taking your questions in the chat, so feel free to ask your questions. The group chat is now open. Why don't they just make Elimination Chamber the first of the dual pay-per-views and have a Raw Elimination Chamber and have a SmackDown Elimination Chamber, just like they used to do? It seems like Shane McMahon just wants to shoehorn everyone that he can possibly get into this match in the match. That's the way it seems to me. But we're getting off track here because the subject is supposed to be Dolph Ziggler and this new contract that he signed, which is $1.5 million for 2 years. I'm sorry, $1.5 million a year. It's a 2-year deal. So that's a total of $3 million to basically do whatever he wants in his spare time. And when he's in WWE, doesn't really have to do much except show up, have a somewhat decent match, I guess. He doesn't really have to have a decent match. And do jobs. Basically, that's what he's going to be doing. And I honestly have to say, good for him. Good for Ziggler. And other people on the internet have been saying this as well. Good for him. Ziggler is one person who gets what the business is about. And the business is about making money. Brought to you by Diet Miss Twist, Lemon Lime. Second sponsorship. Ziggler gets what the business is about. He gets that the business is about making money. And he doesn't care about titles. He doesn't care about winning matches. He doesn't care about headlining pay-per-views, even though somehow he's in the main event at Fastlane. He doesn't care about those things. He just cares about making money. And as another YouTube personality pointed out, I'm not going to say who it was because I don't want to advertise their channel. But as another YouTube personality pointed out, good for Ziggler. Ziggler gets what this business is all about. He is going to make more money because we've gotten to the point now where a jobber can make $1.5 million a year. Now, of course, a jobber now means a lot different than a jobber back in the 80s, where you had guys like Brooklyn Brawler and guys like Jim Powers and guys like Barry Horowitz who did jobs. Those were jobbers. Yeah, Dolph Ziggler, okay, he has a character, he has a theme song, whatever. He might have his little catchphrases. So a jobber now doesn't really mean like someone who just has no character and someone who just shows up to do jobs. Now you can be a jobber. Now it's a jobber to the stars. That's what they call it now. Jobber to the stars. And yeah, he's still a superstar. He's still considered a WWE superstar, which makes it different than the type of jobbers that you had back in the 80s. I wouldn't really call Barry Horowitz or Abe Knuckleball Schwartz, who was more 90s, I guess, or anyone like that, a superstar. Now you have jobbers who are superstars. Now you have jobbers who are making 1.5 million a year. Dolph Ziggler is making 1.5 million a year to do jobs. Where do I sign up? I will lay down for everybody on the roster for 1.5 million a year. You could pay me 1.5 million a year. I will lay down for Triple H. I will lay down for AJ. Hell, I will lay down for James freaking Ellsworth a year. So, get me that job. That's the job I want. And good on Dolph Ziggler. Good for you, Dolph Ziggler. You're making money, and that's what it's all about. All right. So, moving on, because I don't think there's really anything else to say about Ziggler at this time. We know he's not going to be winning any titles anytime soon. We know he's not really going to be getting a push anytime soon. The only reason he's in the Fastlane match is because Shane McMahon wants to one up Daniel Bryan. Any decision, and by the way, this makes Daniel Bryan look really bad too. Any decision Daniel Bryan makes, Shane McMahon will just completely go out of his way to undermine that decision. And hey, I hope this leads to a WrestleMania match between Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. I think that could be a money match. I think that match will definitely sell tickets. All right, the chat's open, taking your questions. Go ahead and put them down below, and we will get to your questions as they come. Ronda Rousey. People have been asking for a while, what are WWE's plans for Ronda Rousey? At first, it looked like she was going to go after Charlotte Flair, and it was going to be her versus Charlotte. Now it looks like those plans have changed. And now, from what's being reported backstage, it's going to be a mixed tag match. And it's going to be Triple H and Stephanie versus Ronda Rousey and someone. At first, of course, they wanted The Rock. Because, as we know, a couple of years ago at WrestleMania, they did that thing with Ronda Rousey and The Rock, where they had that little in-ring segment with Steph and Triple H, where Ronda Rousey put Stephanie in like a really weak hold. So it would be cool if they can get The Rock, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. It doesn't look like The Rock is going to be available because he's going to be filming a movie. I don't think they're going to do Rousey and Asuka because it looks like there's a chance that Asuka will be going after the Raw Women's title, which will probably be Alexa Bliss, or if she drops it in the chamber, someone else, possibly Sasha Banks. It looks like they might be going back to the Raw Women's title, might be going back to Sasha, and that would mean it would be Asuka and Sasha for the Raw Women's title. So it doesn't look like they're going to do Rousey and Charlotte either. As I mentioned, it looks like it's going to be a mixed tag. But who is Ronda Rousey's partner going to be? Well, it's definitely going to be Triple H and Steph. It's definitely going to be Triple H and Steph versus Rousey and someone. Well, of course, the original plan went out the window, was that they wanted The Rock. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. The second plan The backup plan was Kurt Angle. They were talking about getting Kurt Angle and doing Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Steph. I think that would be very cool because Triple H and Kurt Angle obviously have a history. They feuded back in, I believe, 2000, 2001? 2001, I want to say. They feuded back in. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, just go ahead and correct me on that. But I believe it was 2001. They had a feud. So that would be cool because Kurt Angle and Triple H have a history. But now it doesn't look like it's going to be Kurt Angle either because it looks like they're leaning towards Angle and Rollins at WrestleMania in their own match. Angle versus Rollins at WrestleMania to, I guess, I don't know. Are they feuding over custody of Jason Jordan? Like, how is that going to work? What is that match going to be about? What is going to be the story in that match? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Hang on while I take another sip of Diet Mist Twist. Diet Mist Twist is caffeine free. All right, you know what? Now I'm just being a show. I'm not trying to get the product. I'm not trying to get sponsored or anything like that. But it is sponsored by the proud partner of the NBA. Anyway, trying to get heat. That's what I'm trying to do. As if I haven't gotten enough heat on this broadcast already from some of the things I've said in the last one. Anyway, so it doesn't look like it's going to be Angle. The third plan was Seth Rollins, but of course, if they're doing Angle Rollins, that's out. So the most recent person that has been suggested for Ronda Rousey's partner is Braun Strowman. This to me makes the least amount of sense. The Rock, yes, makes sense. There's history between The Rock and Triple H. Angle, yes, makes sense. There's history between Angle and Triple H. Seth Rollins, yes, it makes sense. There's history between Rollins and Triple H. Braun Strowman, sure, it's different, but what would be the story there? Would Ronda Rousey just be like, okay, well, I need someone. Hey, you're big. What? I don't think that Braun Strowman makes any sense. And if they're not doing Braun Strowman and Elias one-on-one, well, obviously we know that they're not doing Braun Strowman and Elias one-on-one at Elimination Chamber. What? Because they're both in the chamber. They're both in the chamber match. So does that kind of make sense to do Elias and Braun one-on-one at WrestleMania? Why would they not book that? I think it's honestly better just to have Ronda Rousey go against Charlotte, have her lose to Charlotte in her first match. Now, I understand you want to protect Rousey. I get that. You want to protect Rousey because you don't want to have her go one-on-one and absolutely suck in the ring. So you want to protect her. You want to put her in a multi-person match. Well, what about this? What about Ronda Rousey and what's her name? The chick from Shayna Baszler. What about Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and someone else versus Riot Squad? Why don't they do that? I mean, we already had a little bit of that already. So why don't we have Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, and someone else versus Riot Squad? I think that would make sense. Do you think that would make sense? Let me know in the comments. Or if you don't think it makes sense, let me know in the comments. So that is the plan. Or those are the suggested plans for WrestleMania. We don't know if it's definitely going to be Rousey and Strowman, but that seems to be the way that's leaning right now. Since they're leaning towards Angle and Rollins. And The Rock won't be available. All right. Last topic, and I think we already touched on this. Triple H has taken over 205 Live. So Triple H, you know, has taken over 205 Live, which hopefully is going to improve the product of 205 Live. We can only hope that he does the same thing for 205 Live that he did for NXT. The reason for this, it seems like Vince McMahon is more and more backing out of the main roster. That he's backing more and more out of WWE. He has control over Raw and SmackDown still. He still has final say over what's written for Raw and SmackDown. But it seems like with the returning XFL in 2020, Vince McMahon is backing out more and more and giving Triple H more and more control, which I think is great because 205 Live is already, from what I could see, um, has made very interesting again because we have Drake Maverick, formerly Rockstar Spud, as the general manager. We have a tournament going on. Finally, something that they should have done weeks ago. We finally have a tournament for the vacant cruiserweight title. So it seems like 205 Live is going to be interesting again. The tournament is looking very good. A lot of great talent in that tournament. So hopefully Triple H does with 205 Live what he did with NXT. And hopefully we see more and more Triple H presence on the main roster. Hopefully soon we start seeing him take over Raw and SmackDown and have the final say on Raw and SmackDown. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if he could do on the main roster what he did on NXT and what he's doing on 205 Live? I think that would be fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is it for now. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe as well. Share it around on all of social media, Facebook, Twitter. We have a Twitter page. We are at I've Got Till 5, so make sure to follow us there. Like the Facebook page, join the group, and thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been Wrestling News Live 5. My name is Adam, and we will see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to show number 10 and making this show a perfect 10. Bye for now.